All right, game one has already been underway, and Alchemixt starting out with Zoo. This is something else that he's played a lot of in the past. I talked a lot about how he's been such a prominent Control Warrior player, but he mixes one of the reasons he plays Control Warrior so much is because he's actually such an aggressive player too. He kind of has that curveball in his lineup. So when I see him playing Zoo right here, this isn't really a surprise to me.
Yeah, I mean, Power Overwhelming in there. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the card because it wasn't very common last. But the card that does sacrifice the minions beside it, if you can use, what I'm talking about?
Void Terror.
Void Terror, yeah, of course. So I'm assuming we might see some Void Terrors in there. I've actually been seeing some Void Terror decks with Power Overwhelming on ladder that have seemed pretty strong.
I think it's definitely a possibility. Right now, I would expect anyone who's been playing really close attention to be playing a build very similar to what Sixo's been playing. Again, Implosion is just, it's such a big swing card.
How do you feel about the Sea Giant?
Well, this is another Sixo
With
thing.
Implosion?
He likes to play Sea Giant in these decks as sort of like an effective third 5 drop. And then sometimes you get it out earlier, it can just create really big swing turns. It's just one of those cards that adds a lot of pressure. And on the other side of the board, of course, Pini, this is one of those handlock decks that just, it's pretty much straightforward. It's like the handlock it's always been. You're trying to get some Mountain Giants. You have a couple more tools with things like Antique Healbot and, of course, Dark Bomb. But you really lost the zero-cost Soulfire, which is a pretty big price to pay in that deck.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, he is kind of just holding on to that, the Shadow Flame he has it obviously available. Like, how do you feel about, holding on to the Iron Beak versus using that to kind of get aggressive a little bit with Ancient Watcher? Do you think it's something that you need to do just to hold on to it for your Shadow Flame?
It's kind of tough to say. I mean, I would like to see this Ancient Watcher sit here for Shadow Flame. And it's accomplishing 2 goals, of course, because he has Mountain Giant in his hand. So he's trying to make sure that he can ramp up to this point. Obviously, a very big goal that he has in mind. But just looking at Alchemix's hand, when you see your opponent play turn 2 Ancient Watcher and then turn 3 their life tap, what are you thinking about?
Like, I mean, I'm worrying about Shadow Flame for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, at some point, you do have to start clearing these things out. And, I mean, it may be able to accomplish the same thing as Alchemist is looking like he's going to start to take it out with the Implosion and see how much damage he gets here. He rolls a 2, so definitely not going to be the happiest about that, but he is going to clear it out. And honestly, pretty effective. Like, the Implosion is going to allow him to do that pretty easily. He has to trade an Ooze. Even with the low roll, wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is a pretty fantastic spot for him, of course. This is the point in the game where he's got to be mindful of Molten Giants. Like, 15 life is sort of that magic number where when you have Handlock at, they can't really get a lot of big swing turns with Molten Giants. So, this is really kind of some sketchy waters he's got to tread here and make sure he balances his turn correctly. That's something that's certainly going to go through his mind. It looks really easy to just kind of jam everything down and go for your opponent's face here. But again, the thing that he's worried about is something like Molten Giant Shadow Flame or Molten Giant and some taunts.
How do you feel about a Dark Iron Dwarf plus Power Overwhelming on the Abusive Sergeant to take out the 8/8? What do you think about that versus the Sea Giant? I mean, like, if you drop the Sea Giant, it's probably just getting traded in. And if you do it this way, you have the 4/4 body down, you still have your Sea Giant in hand. So I kind of like the Dark Iron Dwarf plus the Power Overwhelming more. I mean, do you agree?
It looks like that's a really strong line of play. And the other reason, of course, still is even if the Mountain Giant doesn't get traded in, he's still got to be worried about Shadow Flame.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can squeeze in a few extra points of damage and get the Sea Giant down. But what it costs is that. He's actually going to use Abusive Sergeant here. So not really too worried about trading down his board, and sort of the utility that he gets in trade-off for this is that he gets to keep his Power Overwhelming. So, this is 4 extra points of damage that he does have access to, as opposed to having to try to use what was on the board to go forward.
Yep, and he still has to have the ability to drop the Sea Giant here, and I'm guessing that's going to be the case.
Yeah, this is really no question, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, at this point, I feel like, okay, so he is actually playing pretty control-ish,
Yeah.
Like, he is actually clearing the board. He's making sure there's not like an easy Shadow Flame turn or anything like that. And I think it's really the right choice in this position. I mean, he has such strong board control. It's not like he only has these small little minions out there. He's sitting with an 8/8 and a 4/4 body down on the board. And Pini is kind of staring down the barrel of a shotgun right now. He's in a bit of a rough spot.
Yeah, this is sort of one of the benefits you get of being in a Zoo position is Alchemix really making use of this information that Soulfire are really no longer in these handlock decks.
Yeah.
So typically I think you would try to spread out your damage a little bit more and make sure you keep a board presence. But he can be pretty confident Soulfire just frankly isn't in that list. So when he keeps his 4/4 alive instead of his smaller minions, it makes a big difference. I don't think he suspects Mortal Coil from his opponent because he probably would have seen it at this point. So I think this is just really heads-up play here from Alchemix.
And Ruby and Egg plus the Power Overwhelming is really kind of the combo that you want. That's kind of pretty ideal there. And
yeah, it looks to me like this is just straight up lethal.
Oh
though.
yeah, it is. You're right. With the power overwhelm coming in,
Yep.
it is going to be the game. Holy
That
crap.
4 extra damage that he chose to keep early on and uses Abusive Sergeant and redevelop his board, like that was a really big difference in that game. I mean, you got to give credit to Alchemixt here. You know, he's playing Zoo.
Really intelligent.
Yeah, he's playing Zoo at the end of the day, and you know he's going to get rewarded for the fact that he just gets these strong draws. But his Soulfire and Dark Bomb are going to work. But game 2 is going to get underway, and Pini probably going to need to get a turnaround here. And Warrior, likely a good place it could start. Now, something that changed about the dynamic of this matchup is that Implosion has been included in these Zoo decks. And Warrior, it's not going to be playing a ton of minions for his opponent to actually Implosion. So in this matchup, Implosion very often kind of ends up being almost a dead card for a long period of time until you can find some utilization out of it. Even then, though, you're still staring down potentially Whirlwinds, Unstable Ghouls, Explosive Sheeps, all kinds of stuff to make sure these boards get swept out.
Now, do you think there will be Void Terrors in this? I mean, is there Void Terrors in 6.0's Zoo deck? Because that's something every time I've seen Power Overwhelming on ladder lately, that's what it's been with, but I haven't actually seen this variation of the deck. So does that usually include a Void Terror?
In my experience seeing it, it doesn't. And
No?
the reason
Okay.
is just because Implosion is giving you so much on the board.
Yeah, there's no
like
need.
that, it basically is the extra body that you
Yeah.
need for the swing turns. So you can just use one of the tokens to use the Power Overwhelming on. You don't really lose anything from it because as far as you're concerned, you know, these are expendable creatures. And of course, Alchemixt here. Now, this is the start where things get really scary when they have Undertaker into Leper Gnome. Like, this is a big deal for Pini, and like if he doesn't get this board stabilized, this game's going to swing way out of control fast.
And he's considering the Armor Smith, and to me, you know, dropping the Armor Smith is kind of saying that he's probably going to go face and trying to use the Cruel Task for a trade with the Undertaker next turn, something like that. I mean, how do you feel about Armor Smith versus just taking the free trade with the Cruel Taskmaster right now?
Well, it's kind of a tough tourney. If you run Cruel Taskmaster out here, it is directly challenged. It's going to be a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but you know, Armor Smith is certainly something you want to try to develop. But at the same token, you know, if he's looking at Abusive Sergeant on the other side of the board, this Armor Smith's going to bite the dust.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely something he has to be very worried about. And he is going to be able to get that free trade down. Has the Direwolf Alpha Knife Juggler in hand as well.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's probably just going to develop the Juggler.
Yeah.
Especially with, you know, the ability, like Implosion and Knife Juggler is also really nice synergy as well.
Some Acolyte of Pain. I don't know if Acolyte of Pain is really the card you're looking for right now. Yeah, Shield Slam seems like a pretty reasonable response. This is one of those turns where you're like, you Shield Slam because you got a Shield Slam, but you're not happy about it. Like now you have one less Shield Slam to potentially use on a Doom Guard. Like say you pick up a Shield Block or something, and it's just you're not really getting anywhere by doing this. You're just responding to your opponent's board.
And this is something we've actually been talking about a lot lately. When when I've been playing, I've been asking Admirable for some advice and stuff. And one of the things that we've been kind of talking about is just how dead the Warrior decks can look sometimes when they don't have Fiery War Axe in their opening hand, and how strong they do look when they do. And this is one of those games where, I mean, he has 2 Death Spites, but is a setback quite a bit by not having the Fiery War Axe in the opening hand. It makes a really big difference.
This game, he ended up not being set back too much again because Implosion and Doom Guard are in hand already. So these are 2 cards that are not contributing anything. And this Haunted Creeper came out before this Death Spike did. So the Death Rattle is going to trigger after the Haunted Creeper is dead on the Death Spike. So the tokens are going to get swept out should he choose to kill that Haunted Creeper. So that's a pretty big deal going forward. Also, the Cruel Taskmaster able to answer half of the Undertaker challenge that was presented there. So Alchemist, he's put together a little bit of damage here, but this board, oh my gosh, and a second Armor Smith picked up from Pini, he's about to start to gain really massive
with the
control of this
Acolyte,
game.
he's going to be able to get the draw, clear out the tokens, and gain a couple armor here. So really nice turn there, honestly, for Pini. And, I mean, you talked about the start not really being able to get that much done for Alchemist, but he did kind of have the dream turn 1, and, his draw hasn't been that bad, but it is looking a little bit rough. And, I mean, kind of now, as Pini, Pini's looking like he's pretty comfortable. The Implosion looks like that is going to be the choice, and, I mean, he's going to go for the Armor Smith. He definitely wants to roll at least a 3 here. And he will get it.
Wow,
so,
big roll too.
Yeah, so 60. I mean, he had 66% chance to get that, and he's going to be able to clear it out and drop the Undertaker as well. It looks like, but still, I mean, with a second Deathbite in hand, that's something that can deal with the imps pretty easily as well. And I think it probably is just going to be Deathbite plus an Armor Smith. Is he going to decide to drop that, or maybe? Yeah, he probably will.
Definitely going to drop that. So, something that's really interesting to note from Pini's deck is this isn't really the same shell that I've been seeing from Warrior decks. He's got Iron Juggernaut and he's got Bouncing Blades in here. Harrison and Ragnaros, pretty typical to see those in a deck. But,
Iron Juggernaut I was seeing the first couple days a lot, but then everyone kind of phased it out, replaced it with like Dr. Boom and things like that. And Bouncing Blades I just plain haven't really seen.
Yeah, I think both these cards are really more focused on control-oriented lineups because Bouncing Blades,
it's so good against
handlock
lock and things like that.
Right, if there's only one minion on the board, Bouncing Blades is going to kill it, regardless of how big it is or not. And then Iron Juggernaut works really well in the fatigue battles. But call me crazy, I don't think this Zoo versus player is going to go to fatigue this game. And wow, I'll tell you what, Alchemixt is in a really rough spot. He wants to chew through the second Armor Smith. His whole board's about to get swept out to this Death Bite. Dark Iron Dwarf's already going to get challenged by it, and your opponent's at 22 health. Like, where do you put together the winning play here?
I mean, honestly, it's looking like such a brutal position because the thing is, it's like you said, if you drop the Dark Iron Dwarf, that's just going to die plus the Death Battle. So he feels like he has to Doomguard. I think that's the right choice because really, the Dark Iron Dwarf is just a dead card if you play it into that. So I feel like this was the right choice, but it's definitely desperation time for Alchemixt. And I mean, with
yeah, this is a brutal turn too. This Bouncing Blades, just as we were talking about, this is about to sweep out this 6 health Doomguard. Pini sees it right away too. Not only that, but he picks up 4 extra damage because he doesn't actually have to attack this Doomguard.
Yeah, he can just go face.
It looks like he's thinking about something else though.
He may be thinking about trying to drop the Sylvanas or something like that. But I mean, I think that the Bouncing Blades is definitely the right choice, especially no cards in your opponent's hand. I mean,
this is the turn that he's looking for to make sure that he gets a recovery. Look at that, 6 points of damage for 3 mana.
Yeah. Brutal, man.
That's so good.
Yeah.
All right, Alchemix, going to need a pair of good ones. That's a bad one to start with. Oh, gosh, those are 2 ugly ones to get. But, Pini's hand is really good, but this Ragnaros could be a liability. I expect him to drop something like Sylvanas or Harrison Jones.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to Ragnaros the egg. Yeah. That would be not so good.
No, you just yellow it, man. Don't just ignore it. Just jam it out there. 8 points of damage? How could you pass that up?
Yeah. Well,
Echoing Ooze. Alchemix needs something right here. Harvest Golem's not quite it. Sylvanas isn't really like a big problem on this kind of board. You're not worried about the Death Rattle, but it is a 5/5 body.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem is more just the further into the game you get, the clock is ticking. Yeah. Like, it's so dangerous in the late game against Warriors. Their hand is going to be full of legendaries. Every turn they get to play another one. Slam is honestly, it's not really that helpful here. I mean, do you think we're just going to see like the Iron Juggernaut come down? He's gonna slam something up.
I think. I thought he was going to play Harrison and armor up. I think it's something he was thinking about, but Iron Juggernaut's going to be the play, and that is a potential 10 damage that Alchemix can be taking. Do lifetops get scary here when you have the burrowing bite in your deck?
A little bit, man. I mean, the thing is, but it's not like you have a choice. He knows he has to end the game, right? It's like, I mean, he has to go for it. Flame Imp is just about the worst card.
He's picked up both Nerubian Eggs after the initial onslaught has concluded at this point. He has very few buffs left in his deck. He's got Defender of Argus, a power overwhelming, of course, but he's staring down 11 points of damage on the board, too. Like, this might be one of those times where Pini can size up the board and be like, you know what, my opponent's not going to be able to deal me 15 damage next turn. I can just put the pressure on. He's got 11 points of damage on the board right now.
Yeah, he does have a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And he does have the Shield Slam as well. So I mean, you can take out the Imp, and then I think you just go face.
Oh yeah, this is a turn where you definitely should be. Wow, he's going to choose. It looks like he chose to attack a minion here.
Okay.
Wow, he attacks 2 minions instead.
Just really wants to play it safe, man. I guess. Yeah, but I just don't. I don't see where the damage was going to come from. Now this is honestly pretty nice. He can trigger. Like, do you think you trigger the Death Rattle here, or do you think?
I think you gotta hope that this Sylvanas just steals
the other egg.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the ooze of the egg. So he's gonna go 1 to face. This is a pretty big steal right now.
Oh.
Gets a 2/1 off of it.
Okay.
So not like the worst situation in the world.
But still, I mean, he has to clear something, right? Like, I mean, look at his HP. There's so many ways that he could take damage here. He still has the 10 damage mine in his deck somewhere in there. I mean, the 7 damage sitting on the board. He's at 13 HP. Cruel Task is going to be some additional damage as well.
Execute, Taskmaster, and Ragnaros.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Yeah, man.
This has been a brutal game.
I feel like honestly, you just Cruel Task the Doomguard, drop Rag, and see what happens.
Just YOLO it. That's like one of the ways you could lose. If you're like, no, you got to go for it, man.
No. Yeah.
You got to live the dream.
Exactly.
Wow,
he's going for it, man. He's my kind of guy. What a player. Go for the Rag, dude. Just embrace the YOLO.
Maybe having some second thoughts about this decision.
Okay, so he's going to execute.
Execute probably a safer. This is also it's more consistent with his line of play so far as well, where he's wanted to choke out all of his opponent's decisions throughout the course of the game. And now that Alchemixt is left with a single point of damage, this is where the onslaught begins.
This is the much more intelligent play, but I mean he has 8 HP. Ragnar steals 8 damage.
Oh, Implosion's picked up. Implosion plus Sea Giant could really swing this game back around.
Yeah, if he rolls a 4, that would be huge. Let's see how the luck is going to.
Oh, he gets a 2.
Oh no, he can't actually clear it out, and that is going to be the end of the game. And he needed to roll at least a 3 there to have a chance of staying alive. He's going to roll low.
That's so brutal.
Both of his implosions have rolled well played.
One of his implosions, was it both of his implosions this game rolled low?
He rolled no, in his last game he rolled a.
All right, game 3 underway, and it looks like Alchemixt is going to be playing his own warrior here, and I know for a fact that he's got Golden Warrior built. We talked a little bit about this. We actually wanted to get Platinum cards made so that he could create Platinum Warrior. And so the Platinum cards, you would have to combine 4 gold versions of a card to get the Platinum version of it.
And then you just combine another 4 of those to get Diamond.
He would do it day 1.
Like Rosh with diamond-studded earrings and stuff like that, and he just has like bling grill, dude.
Yep. It would just be done day 1. So cards that are important in this matchup. In my experience, of course, Fiery War X is pretty much important in every single matchup.
Yeah.
But Deathspite's also really important. It's going to help you kind of secure this mid game and scale into like your turn 6 again, which is really important with cards like Shield Maiden. And we take a look at these hands. There's already 3 Shield Maidens that have been drawn. There's going to be some fireworks this game.
Yeah, no kidding. Having the shield block on early on is relatively nice as well. Having that ability, because shield block does deal very well. You know, shield block, if you can get the shield slam as well, deals very well with shield maidens and things like that. And I mean, you know, in my experience seeing this matchup, it's pretty common for it to go to the fatigue. And I mean, with that many shield maidens and stuff in hand, you know, what are the kind of things that in a game like this you have to take into consideration, knowing that there is a pretty high chance that it could go to fatigue? Do you play it a little bit differently? Do you feel like you should be the one more reacting to your opponent rather than taking the initiative?
That's going to depend on kind of how the pan out is, because one of the things that's so important is the order of the late game legendaries that get played. Ideally, you want to play Alchemixt before you have to play Ragnaros or Grommash.
Yeah, of course.
And then ideally you have Ragnaros either apply a ton of pressure either on the leverage of being able to shred armor or hit a big minion, and then of course having Grommash to finish it up. You know, you don't always get that draw though, so we kind of have to make do with what you have. But yeah, responding is something you want to be doing, but you also need to keep armor in check to make sure that you minimize the impact of Shield Slam, and then it also depends on your legendary suite. You know, some people run Dr. Boom. It's been very common so far in a lot of decks we've seen. Some people are running like Sneed's Old Shredder in this format, and so in a grindy warrior matchup, Sneed's Old Shredder, summoning another legendary can be I mean, that can be crippling. So depending on when it ends up grabbing, so something that they're going to be able to be focusing on is how to minimize the impact from their opponent while trying to kind of get a big shield, so that way Alchemixt doesn't have a game-breaking effect.
Definitely. And I mean, Sneed's Old Shredder definitely can have insane amounts of value. And being able to guarantee the double draw now with the death rattle from his opponent, plus he already gets the 1 damage in with the Taskmaster, is pretty nice. And getting those extra card draws has to feel pretty good early on here for Alchemixt.
Again, making sure to keep armor in check too. You want to just basically, anytime you have an opportunity to chip away at it, you want to make sure that it's definitely there. Pretty solid response though.
Yeah, Armor Smith Acolyte.
Speaking of getting double draws.
Yep. He's going to be able to get some armor off of that. Going to be able to clear it out as well. X2 can be drawn here for Alchemixt. And let's see what the draw is for Pini. Going to pick up a shield block for himself. And, I mean, having double Shield Maiden in hand, definitely quite nice. Iron Juggernaut going to be played here by Alchemixt. And we talked about how that wasn't as common anymore, but it's in both the Warriors decks.
Yeah, both of these guys, when I see Iron Juggernaut, in my mind, I see that they anticipate control decks.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me. And I would be like just shocked to see not the Shield Maiden come out here. Like Iron Juggernaut, again, it's a card that you want to use to fight the fatigue battle. So in this matchup, you can drop it on turn 6, but more so what you're looking for again is it's another tool that can control
After
armor.
Alchemixt.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's going to punish your opponent when they draw it. So this is like a post Alchemixt kind of card, because as you said, you're anticipating going into fatigue this matchup. Harrison Jones, though, this is really another one of the swing cards. Like just ways to fight for the board is what's really important in this. So Alchemixt definitely has a life advantage right now, but he is kind of 1 turn behind. Like Pini has sort of the value of being able to correctly respond to what's happening on the board here. And with something like Harrison Jones in his hand, he's going to be really able to apply a lot of pressure.
Definitely. I mean, we are sitting on turn 7 here right now for Alchemixt, and I mean, you talk about like not really wanting to drop Iron Juggernaut super early if you don't have to, but at the same time, doesn't really look like he has a lot of plays here. He could just, drop a shield block, kind of like get the extra draw and things like that. But you're talking about, wanting to continually keep the armor off, kind of fight for the board. Do you think this is an Iron Juggernaut turn, or do you think you simply just are going to shield block up and see what you get?
It's kind of. I personally would like to see the shield block happen here because he needs to just be putting together like a bigger suite of threats. Like he's got 2 executes in his hand. He doesn't. In my mind, it doesn't look like he has a lot of pressure that's being applied against him. So when you've got 2 executes, you have a lot of time to make sure that you can make up for sort of this ground that you're losing on turn 7 here.
The golden Iron Juggernaut looks so sick, by the way. Like holy.
Makes a golden burrowing mine too.
Well, we'll see when he's going to draw it.
Wow, Pini draws Iron Juggernaut right afterwards. He doesn't have a way to actually directly answer this Iron Juggernaut, though. This is a problem. I think that Alchemixt was expecting this Iron Juggernaut to get answered a lot of times.
Yeah.
Pini actually doesn't have a direct way to kill it unless he wants to use his axe and 2 Cruel Taskmasters to pick this off.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he might just drop a Shield Maiden here. Use that, try to kind of answer it. He could obviously shield block up, see if he draws an execute or something. And it looks like that is going to be his play. We'll see what he's going to draw into here. He does draw the execute, so the Cruel Task plus the execute definitely going to work out for him there. And seeing that come off the top has got to be a little bit annoying for Alchemixt. But you never know if he has another one in his hand and he's just kind of messing with you.
So yeah, this is sort of like a very similar spot that Alchemixt was in last turn, where it's like he doesn't necessarily have a great threat. He picks up Harrison Jones for the weapon, though. He might want to hang on to this for something like Gorehowl, but right now, when I look at his hand, does he have the liberty to just continue to wait that long? Like, of course, he's got a lot of life. That's not his concern. His concern is actually losing control of the board to like so many legendaries that are going to be piled out here.
He can obviously answer this pretty easily. He has Fiery Warrocks in hand, but Harrison Jones, I think, is a nice play here. Fits the curve. Going to be able to pick himself a draw. And picking up Goromosh is pretty nice here as well. Yep. And he has a couple pieces of the combo. Definitely wants to get that Alexstrasza out, though, to really be able to put on the pressure. And looks like Iron Juggernaut perhaps going to come down. He's going to think about a Shield Slam, though. And it is going to be a Shield Slam with that Shield Maiden.
He can also Cruel Taskmaster his own Cruel Taskmaster here.
Trade. Yeah,
like
that's probably
that better. I like better. I think it's a much better use of resources. Good heads up. We saw he thumbed over the Shield Slam for a minute there. It's something that's really important too. Is you don't want to burn through your turns. Like you have a lot of time to play. You should be thinking about what's going on. I mean, because there's just so many options these players have, like how to proceed forward, how to make sure they apply pressure, etc. Making a mistake in this kind of matchup is something you can't afford.
Yeah. Alchemixt here now. I mean, he has the Cruel Task execute for the Shield Maiden if he does decide to do that. He could just do that, weapon up, kill the 2/2, shield block. I mean, I don't feel like he's gonna want to drop Rag or anything like that this turn. So, I mean, I kind of feel like it has to be that, like just Cruel Task, execute, kill the 2/2 off with a weapon. You can shield block up as well.
Definitely a tough turn. All that matters right now is like what he's thinking about. Like, he has so many different routes to play. Like, is he concerned more with just trying to get a lot of extreme value out of stuff? Is he trying to? Is he still hunting for Alexstrasza before he wants to unleash these legendaries? That's sort of what this game plan looks like to me.
Yeah. So he's really valuing the executes a lot here. He'd rather just. Yeah. I mean, his armor value is really high, and I think that's smart. Being able to hold on to that for like an Alexstrasza or a Ragnaros or a Gromosh, something like that. That's going to be more threatening. Definitely makes a lot of sense. But the Harrison Jones to answer
that belongs
really nice
in a museum. Back-to-back Harrison Jones being played this game. Here's something that I'm curious about now. At this point in the game, are you worried about the number of cards that are in your deck? Like, are you looking at Acolyte and thinking maybe that this is, like, is it getting to the point where you're concerned with the number of cards you're going to draw?
I think it has to be a little bit. The Alexstrasza going to be drawn there for Alchemixt, though, which is definitely huge. But you can see Alchemixt actually was mousing over both of each other's decks a few times there, starting to count cards. And he is obviously starting to take that into consideration, trying to think, when do I have to start getting a little bit worried about this?
Gosh, this is tough. See, now this is also sort of a unique position because Ragnaros can be used here to like start to apply armor shred.
Yeah.
It's not actually going to touch your opponent's life total, so you're not worried about losing value from Alexstrasza if Ragnaros stays on the board for 2 turns. You're just getting pure armor shred.
Yep.
So his plan here, it's tough to really say what he's trying to do exactly because he has a lot of different ways he can take this. Obviously, he wants to keep his Alexstrasza safe, so he's trying to keep minions off the board. But at the same time, he's worried about Shield Slam, so he doesn't want to just throw an Alexstrasza or a Ragnaros out there and have them both just die.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, now I think it's probably going to be a shield slam, since he didn't want to play the rag last turn. I mean, even though it is a little bit gross with the Lothab, I feel like you kind of have to just shield slam anyway. Take out the Lothab. Because I mean, if he wasn't going to play Ragnaros last turn, I don't think he's going to play it this turn. So I think this is really just you take out the Armor Smith, you shield slam the Lothab.
It's a tough turn because, again, something he's looking for is he wants to play Alchemixt and then also play a swing card in the same turn.
Yeah, but it's just not really. Yeah, it's not in the cards for him right now.
The cards for him, yeah.
Oh gosh, you're so smart.
But yeah, I mean, whoa. You got Brawl. Wow, that is not what I saw.
Honestly, Brawl is not that bad of an option. 10 minutes, a little bit costly, but this
Really
does deal
nice,
8
actually.
effective damage right here. I think that's a pretty solid spot to be in.
Yeah.
He still has Shield Slam to make sure that he can play Alchemixt and swing the board back in his favor.
If the Lothab came out, I think he would have been kicking himself a bit, but it did definitely work out very well for him.
And now he's got a mine in his deck. Oh my gosh, if this gets drawn, all his armor is going to get shredded. That Shield Slam's going to be useless.
Yeah. Let's see if it is. No, not just yet.
It makes me so nervous to see that position where it's just like, if he draws it, he just loses the Shield Slam, basically.
And that Brawl last turn setting him up so nicely. So taking a risk, it's really going to pay off now. Oh, he does draw the Burrowing Mine.
10 armor gets shredded. Not that big of a difference here because he has 24 armor going into the turn. But Big Game Hunter really going to start to apply some pressure here.
Definitely, and he has a Shield Maiden to follow it up. But I mean, Pini is sitting here, and he really just has not drawn the pieces of the puzzle yet. I mean, hasn't drawn his Alchemixt, hasn't drawn his Gromosh, hasn't drawn a Ragnaros or anything like that. Alchemixt is looking pretty darn good here.
Yes, it seems like that Pini's in really good shape this game, despite that though. He's had a lot of consistent pressure. He's allocated his removal to the right spots. Big Game Hunter being able to take out a minion is pretty huge. Ragnaros
no kidding.
wants to hit that 5/5. He gets that roll.
Alchemixt is honestly, he's got the two kind of 1 and 3 rolls this game. And
here comes the steal though.
Oh god,
Sylvanas Shield Slam. Oh my gosh, this is such bad news for Alchemixt.
Oh, brutal.
Oh my gosh, and up to 21 armor even after drawing the Burrowing Mine.
God, that's so brutal, man.
Yeah, there goes all of Alchemixt's armor. He doesn't have any Shield Slams though, so that's not the worst thing in the world. He needs to pick up a way to deal with this Ragnaros right now though. He needs a point of damage.
He's not going to get it just yet. He's going to have to drop the Sludge Belcher.
Yeah, flood his board.
And I mean,
Ragnaros.
The Gromosh has been drawn now for Pini, and if he's going to be able to get the Alchemixt pretty soon here, there's not that many more cards left in the deck. We'll see if he just decides to shield block up here. I mean, he
7 cards in Pini's exit and 9 cards in Alchemixt right now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, do you feel like with that much armor, are you really going to hold on to that second Shield Slam? This is something I was kind of curious if he's going to decide to use this on the Belcher, because it is pretty nice to be able to get rid of that this turn, but at the same time, holding on to it for a later threat could be pretty nice as well.
Is he going to use Gromosh if he does that?
I don't know. I mean, you definitely could drop the Gromosh.
It's something he's thinking about for sure. If he plays the Shield Slam first,
Alchemist would be pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's double X2 sitting in his hand right now.
If he's using Shield Slam first, he almost certainly is going to Gromosh this turn.
It's looking like he. Let's see. Yep, it is going to be the Gromosh coming down. So you called it, and he is actually going to clear. So it's going to be just probably a double execute turn, honestly, for Alchemixt.
He's got to find a way to deal with the Ragnaros, though. I think he's got to leave the 4-1 there.
Yeah.
Save one of these.
Yeah, you're right.
For,
yeah,
for
he
Ragnaros.
does. Crush.
Picks up Crush.
Oh.
Wow.
What a draw, man. Gonna be able to crush, execute.
I will crush you.
That is brutal. What a draw off the top. And actually, he's still going to decide to hold on to the second execute. So, this is definitely, man, pushing it to the fatigue. And wow, now the Alexstrasza comes up.
Picked up from Alexstrasza, though. And still the pressure is on Alchemixt. He needs to find a way to deal with this Alexstrasza. And Dr. Boom, not quite going to be it.
No.
He's facing down 12 points of damage, and he can potentially go up to 18 here. How afraid of a card like Gorehowl are you?
I think you're really afraid, man. I mean, Dr. Boom is pretty scary, but at the same time, I mean, dropping your Gromosh to clear feels really horrible as well, right? So it's like, he's going to have to use the second execute. Definitely something he wanted to hold on to for the Alexstrasza, but now I'm just not feeling like he has the ability to do that because he is scared of those cards coming off the top.
Ragnaros picked up from Pini now.
Oh, he's going to go face. Are we going to see the Rag? We are. And oh my god, this could be huge. He definitely wants to hit the Dr. Boom or face. We'll see what he's going to hit. This could be a game-deciding Ragnaros. And the moment of truth.
Oh my
no!
gosh, he hits Dr. Boom!
He hits the Dr. Boom.
That is
that could be it.
Unbelievable. I don't really see a way that Alchemixt is getting out
Oh
of this game
no!
at this point.
I think that's it, man. I mean, we'll have to see how the bombs roll. We have to see how the bombs roll because if the bombs roll like double 4 on something, the dream is still alive.
He's got to get the right hits on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to be a Grommash going down. He's got to see how the bombs go.
All right, so if he runs a bomb into like Alexstrasza or Ragnaros, he gets a 4 on whichever minion he didn't attack.
Yeah.
Repeats that. He can Gore Howl 1, arm up to go to 4.
Yeah. That's gonna be. We'll see. I mean, it's got to be the bombs and see where they go. Okay, so it is going to be at 2.
Oh.
So now I feel like you have to hit. You can't even kill it even if you hit the rag.
There's no way to kill it anymore without using
with the low roll.
Without using Grommash or something. I mean, he can still, in theory, stay alive here. He's just got to get the right roll on this Boombot.
Yep, let's see it. I think you go rag since it's already lower, but maybe it doesn't even matter. 6, and it's going to go face.
It goes straight to the dome.
Oh no.
Yep. So this is pretty much going to spell the end for Alchemixt. You know, he's got a couple of cards maybe that he can draw to work with it. Like maybe he has a second Crusher.
Never mind. Fireworks is going to do it.
Yep, there you go.
That is going to be it.
Wait. Hang on. He's at 17 still. So he's actually got to get the right rag.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Of course. Bouncing blades. Doesn't have blades.
Wow, we're just going to go straight for...
Why didn't he play the bouncing blade? He had a bouncing blade. He could have played that.
Well, the bouncing blade can kill your own minion, too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah.
But what's more surprising to me is if he just attacks face there,
and then,
if the rag hits either the face or the shield maiden, he still ends up being in it.
Yeah.
Alchemist, though, he picks up a shield slam, so he can fend off the Alexstrasza, but then he has no way to fend off the Ragnaros. He's just going to take too much damage if he chooses to use a weapon. I mean, this is the end of the game. He hasn't quite lost yet, but the game is basically over. You know what? He can still kind of stay alive here if he uses Grommash to. Okay, he's just going to go ahead and concede, and he's just too much to fight through. He's used too many of his resources. Pini able to really leverage.
All right, so it is going to be Hunter coming out is the final deck here for Alchemist. He's going to have to win 2 straight with it. And he has, we might be seeing some of that Robo Hunter, man. You know, he has the Clockwork Gnome in there. Decent opening hand, not the dream that you're looking for, not the Undertaker start.
Sure. But still, I mean, not a bad opener by any means. There's
Nope.
a lot of damage that could potentially come out here.
Definitely so. Cruel Task to answer is definitely pretty nice, though.
That's it's 2 of those aggro matchups in a row with the Cruel Taskmaster to really answer what's going on. Well, I'm sorry, was this the Cruel Taskmaster to answer what's going on? Mm-hmm. And Alchemist, he's got some stuff that he's putting together right now, but this game is already, to me, looking pretty rough for him. He's got a lot of on-curve plays, but that's already been disrupted.
Yeah, the slam plus the Cruel Task to fall out. I mean, it's definitely
and he draws Explosive Trap with a Mad Scientist in his hand. That's pretty much the opposite of what he wanted.
Do you think he's just going to weapon up then?
Yeah, well, he's got to figure out a way to start getting some damage rolling here.
Yeah, it's got to be.
This is the matchup it felt like he was trying to avoid. He may also feel like he's got to help try to get some value out of his minions, some repetitive damage. So attacking this Cruel Taskmaster is certainly not an unreasonable play by any means.
No, not at all. Now, how do you feel about Armorsmith versus Acolyte? I mean, Acolyte fitting the curve, but obviously kind of being traded away a little bit easier. The Silence is actually not so bad to answer that, but Mad Scientist is going to come down, and I mean, it's definitely not looking like the absolute best situation here for Alchemixt.
Yeah, this is a matchup I think that he wanted to try to avoid. And, when he has Explosive Trap in here, I think also in his mulligan that we saw, he mulliganed away Wolf Rider or an Arcane Golem. Mm-hmm. So this is like dedicated to like really trying to pressure your opponent out of the game instead of trying to like seize control and really go from there. But he's been already backed in the corner of having to try to seize control early on in this game, and so he's really working against what his kind of traditional game plan would be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're playing with Arcane Golems and things like that, you have them in there to kind of finish it off. You want to be consistently keeping the pressure on, having your opponent on the back foot and kind of using that as like an execute, almost like a replacement of Leroy and everything. So he definitely is already on the back foot. We'll see how he's going to go. He did draw a Glaive Zuka, but not that helpful just now. It's awesome.
Yeah, at this point he's going to start rolling out some. He's got to start getting the damage going here. If he attacked that Acolyte, it's just so much of being committed to keeping control over the board there. Like, I think you just have to sacrifice the extra card and be okay with it. You know, you're not trying to play the long game. You're trying to actually finish your opponent as soon as you can.
That's definitely nice to be able to pick up that that fiery war axe there. The explosive trap could actually deal some damage here a little bit, you know, so it wouldn't be too bad. We'll see what trap he's actually going to get.
Sequencing here is really important too, by the way, because if he'd gotten a freezing trap off that mad scientist, he wouldn't have actually been able to pick off the 2/1 mad scientist with the armor smith. So important sequencing there.
Yep.
See what trap he got here. It's another explosive trap. And so we saw the second mad scientist didn't actually fetch a trap. So he's got 2 explosive traps in his deck, and that's it. There's no freezing trap. There's no snake trap.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's just 2 explosive. Well, he's just going for face.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Shield Maiden going to be...
Wow.
Oh,
and
God, Harrison Jones.
Picked up. He's going to take out this Eagle Horn bow.
Oh, with 2 charges as well.
Oh, my gosh.
That's so brutal.
That is a huge turn for Pini right now.
Yep, Harrison's going to come down. He's going to be able to get that double draw. And, oh, God, Alchemixt has just got to get that sick feeling in his stomach when you see this come down, man.
Oh, my gosh. 2 extra cards picked up. He's got 2 shield blocks and a shield maiden in his hand. You know, I don't want to call him early. Oh, picks up Animal Companion. Okay, well, there you go. This is what he needs to stay in, and he rolls a Huffer from it.
Wow. And he's going to use the Glaive Zuka, it looks like, to trade in there with the double spider. So, honestly, is he just going to go all
he's got to go all. I mean, he's all at this point. He's got the kill command.
Wow,
he's got Glaive Zuka. He's got hero power and explosive trap.
He could actually kill him here. I mean, the thing is, there's still the Shield Maiden. He has Shield Maiden. He could Shield Maiden Shield Slam out the Huffer if he wants to.
Yep.
I feel like that's the play.
He's got to stem the bleeding right now.
Yep. But I mean, he still does have the double shield block in hand. And the Spectral Spiders don't count as a beast, so Kill Command is only 3 damage right now.
This is where stuff like Wolf Rider and Arcane Golem really start to pick up some pieces too. Just every extra point of damage is what Alchemist needs right now. He's going to need to draw some gas over the course of the next couple turns, but that Huffer
if he draws
roll,
if he draws a beast next turn, I mean, it's going to be pretty scary.
Yeah, that Harrison on that 6 extra damage, that was basically lethal right
there.
Yeah. So he's got these 2 shield blocks, so he's going to be able to like really keep his head, you know, kind of safe for a couple turns. But again, if Alchemist continues to draw gas, this could still be rough.
Yeah.
Loatheb getting picked up. Yeah, I actually like using the Loatheb here too now because it prevents any double kill command shenanigans. Clockwork Gnome's not what he wanted to see though.
No, not at all. Thankfully for him, I mean, the explosive trap at least will take out 2 of those minions, so that's something. But, you know, he definitely was not looking for that. Another shield maiden. He could shield maiden and shield block here even, and like
20 extra points of life.
I feel like that would actually be a pretty good play.
He's picked up this game so far.
He's going to go Alex Strauss.
Alex Strauss himself too. Yeah. So there's 10. So right now he's picked up about 20 extra.
I think this is game.
And he's got 10 more.
I don't really see any way that he can win now.
He needed something else other than that Clockwork Gnome that turn. That was like he couldn't have stumbled once the rest of the game, and I think at that point it's just kind of stumbled out of control.
Yeah, I mean there's still an extra 10 armor in his hand, and it's just like
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does he wait? 13? No, he doesn't. But still, I mean, I think you can just. She'll made nothing.
I mean, he can go up to.
He can do whatever you want.
Effectively 21 health this turn.
Yeah.
And kill the Arcane Golem in the process. Wow, that one Clockwork Gnome turn. He needed like another Animal Companion there.
Yeah. But it's not going to be the case for him. Well played is called there by Alchemist. He's got to know it's over at this point, and he does concede. And Pini is going to be able to take it 3-1 over Alchemist, who is now going to be out of the tournament right here in the first round. So definitely a